I was hired to tutor a rich kid. The night my contract ended, he told me he had a mysterious gift for me. On my birthday, he knocked on my door and shoved a handsome guy inside. "Cora, this is my brother. He's all yours now." The handsome guy nodded obediently, pointing to the gift sign hanging around his neck. I stared at the man, rumored to be the ruthless, top heir of the city's most powerful family, who'd supposedly lost his memory and turned into a simpleton after a car crash, and was lost in thought. I had just gotten home from my birthday dinner when I got a message from my former employer's youngest son, Leon. "Cora. Almost at your place. Got a surprise for you." The little rascal sent a few goofy cat memes, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. 2 months ago, the wealthy Lou family had offered a hefty sum to find a tutor for their eccentric elementary school-aged son. After a series of intense interviews, I got the job. Although Leon was a bit of a brat, he was also polite and incredibly smart. We got along great. When our last session ended, the usually stoic little guy quietly wiped away a few tears, saying he'd miss me. I reached out to pat his head to comfort him. He turned away coolly. "My head can be chopped off, my blood can be spilled, but my hairstyle must not be messed up." As I was leaving, he tugged on my sleeve, not wanting me to go, and said he knew my birthday was coming up and wanted to give me a special, mysterious gift. He only let go of my hand after I promised to accept it. The doorbell snapped me out of my thoughts. I opened the door, and a handsome face unexpectedly filled my vision. Under the dim light, his tousled hair cast a shadow over his high nose bridge, and his long, arrogant eyes tilted upward at the corners. This face was absolutely gorgeous. And incredibly familiar. Looking down, I saw Leon dressed in a black mini suit like a little gentleman. He winked at me excitedly. "Cora, your present is here." With that, he pushed the handsome guy into my apartment. "Cora, this is my brother. He's 6 feet 2 inches, gentle, kind, innocent, and a total sweetheart. He's all yours now." He tugged on the handsome guy's sleeve and instructed him earnestly, "Louis, you just stay here, okay? Remember to listen to Cora. It's getting late, gift delivered. I'm heading home now." The handsome guy's eyes held a look of pure, innocent confusion as he nodded obediently. His long, elegant fingers held up the sign hanging from his neck, Cora's birthday gift. While my brain was busy crashing, that little demon Leon had vanished. I took a deep breath, about to chase after him. But the man in front of me blocked my path. I met his incredibly captivating eyes. Pathetically, my face flushed. "You." He lowered his gaze, his dark lashes trembling. "Happy birthday, Cora. I'm a very well-behaved gift. Please don't get rid of me, okay?" As I was staring at the man, it hit me where I'd seen that face before. Louis Lou. The young, ruthless heir of the Lou family. I remembered the day I got lost in the Lou family mansion. A cold, deep voice suddenly cut through the air. "Good evening, Cora." In the dim light, his thin, pale lips curled into a sinister smile, making him look like a handsome ghost. I was so scared I nearly left this beautiful world. News of his car accident and subsequent coma had been suppressed by the Lou family. But rumors still circulated in high society, saying he had fallen from grace and turned into an idiot. I looked at the man standing there blankly. He was a completely different person from the dangerous man I'd met before. He tilted his head at me and flipped over the sign hanging on his chest. The words "Cora's personal puppy" appeared in familiar handwriting. I had once told Leon during a chat that I really liked puppies. The 4-legged, furry kind. I cursed that little troublemaker Leon under my breath. Pinching the palm of my hand, I looked at Louis. "Mr. Lou, I'm going to have to politely decline." He pursed his lips, turned petulantly to face the corner, and gave me a stubborn view of the back of his head. Defeated, I called Mrs. Lou and explained the situation. The next second, a notification for a $1 million bank transfer popped up on my phone. Mrs. Lou sent a message, "Louis's situation is special. Please, Cora, just look after him for one night." I'll arrange for someone to pick him up tomorrow. I took a deep breath and looked at the beautiful simpleton. $1 million for one night. We were never meant to be, but her money made it happen. I put on my best 8-toothed smile and walked over to Louis, who was facing the wall with his head down. He looked easy enough to handle. Seeing me approach, he sighed, looking utterly wronged. Nobody loves me, nobody cares. I'm just a poor little cabbage in the patch. I fought back a laugh. Mr. Liu, is it too late to accept my gift now? He shot his head up, a glint of light flashing in his eyes. Then let's pinky swear. He took my hand and shook it, a little excited. Cora's gift has been signed for. No take-backsies. It was honestly unfair for him to be acting so cute with a face like that. I couldn't help but stare. After a moment, I looked down at my hand, which he was gripping tightly. Can you let go of me first? He leaned in close to my ear and whispered mysteriously, but Cora's hand is so warm. Us cabbages can't live without sunshine. What the hell kind of cabbage? Mrs. Liu was very thorough and quickly had someone deliver his overnight necessities. The wilted little cabbage, deprived of his sunshine, was successfully brainwashed by me into planting himself on the sofa. As I was tidying up, I felt an invasive stare on me. I turned around and met Louis's gaze. His glistening eyes shifted slightly, making him look utterly innocent. I maintained my smile. Mr. Liu, is something wrong? His beautiful eyes were locked on me. I want. Want what? A strange glint flashed in his eyes. Some water. I quickly poured him a glass. I took a few sips from my own cup, too. He started staring at me again, unblinking. It was making my skin crawl. My lips twitched. Want more? Louis blinked. I want to try yours. I let out a small laugh. They're the same. Remembering he was a simpleton now, and seeing how curious he was, I handed him my cup. His red lips pressed against the spot mine had just touched. He licked his lips with a hint of grievance. Cora, you lied. Yours is sweeter. My phone buzzed with a notification. Leon, Cora, are you satisfied with your gift? Me, death stare smile. Leon, puppy is the secret code, BTW. I was a little confused and mumbled to myself, puppy? The next second, Louis, who had been on the sofa, suddenly stood up and came closer. A deep, sexy voice sounded by my ear. Here. Louis was incredibly clingy, following me everywhere. I secretly observed his every move. It wasn't until I confirmed that he genuinely believed he was a cabbage that I was sure this guy had really lost his mind. We reached the bathroom door. I stopped abruptly and turned, and the person behind me bumped right into me. As I lost my balance and was about to fall, a pair of strong arms wrapped around my waist. He tilted his head up, looking a little proud, and pulled me into his arms without a second thought. I caught Cora. My lips accidentally brushed against his chin. His body tensed for a moment. He looked down at me, his eyes darkening. Cora, is this a reward? I was a bit dazed. What reward? His long fingers gently tapped his chin. I liked that. Then he pointed to his other cheek. This leaf wants one too. A smirk played on my lips as a mischievous idea popped into my head. You know what? My favorite dish is stir-fried cabbage. If you don't behave, I'm going to heat up the wok, add some oil, and stir-fry you. He froze for a second, biting his lip in distress. Then, with a look of someone marching to their doom, he said, I'm Cora's cabbage. I'm willing to be stir-fried by Cora. My eyelid twitched. Why did that sound weirder and weirder the more I thought about it? I led Louis to the spare room I'd prepared and finally managed to coax him to sleep. Back in my own room, I went online and did a deep dive on his past, reading up on his notoriously vindictive and ruthless reputation. This guy wasn't a puppy, he was a psycho. I shivered, worried that if he ever recovered, he might silence me permanently. I drifted off to sleep without realizing it. In the dead of night, I sensed a warm presence beside me. Startled, I slapped out instinctively. I heard a sexy grunt. Flipping on the lamp, I saw Louis kneeling by my bed, his eyes red. A clear handprint was already forming on his handsome, fair face. I rubbed my temples, feeling a pang of guilt. "Are you okay?" A hint of hurt flashed in his eyes. "Cora, you hit me. I was scared, so I came to find you." Seeing tears welling up in his eyes, which made them look misty and tragic, I didn't know what to do. I whispered a fierce threat, "Don't you dare cry. Suck it up." Patting his head like I was petting a dog, I tried to brainwash him. That wasn't a hit. That was a loving caress. He nodded, his messy hair falling innocently over his forehead, giving him a heart-wrenching, broken look. My conscience finally kicked in, and I made room for him on the bed. "You can sleep here. Don't be scared, I'm right here." My wrist was gently grasped by the person next to me. Louis, with no logic but plenty of confidence, said, "This way, I'm not scared." I had planned to watch him sleep, but he just tossed and turned. I gritted my teeth, a little annoyed. "What is it now?" He took my hand and placed it on his other cheek, his voice a little hoarse. "Cora, this side wants one too." Did he actually like getting hit? The next morning, I felt an arm wrapped tightly around my waist. I instinctively struggled. "Louis, wake up." The next second, those cold hands wrapped around my neck. A chilling voice whispered in my ear, "Who are you?" In that instant, it felt like all the blood in my body froze. The doorbell rang sharply, and his face paled. He buried his head in my neck and nuzzled me. "Morning bad. Cora good. Sleep a little more." Coming back to my senses, I ruthlessly pushed him away. The Liu family had sent their old butler to pick him up. Louis was hugging the sofa for dear life, refusing to leave. The butler stood by, wiping sweat from his forehead. I forced a smile and tried to coax him, "How about you go first, and I'll come find you later. There's a reward if you're good." His eyes lit up. "I'm super good." After a huge effort, I finally got him into the car. He looked at me with puppy dog eyes. "Cora, remember to come get me soon." The big bad boss turned simpleton was actually kind of cute. Looking at that face, I felt a little reluctant to see him go. I gave him a half-hearted wave. That evening, after a dinner with my school club, I was about to grab a cab home. My phone rang. It was Leon, his voice frantic. "Cora, can you come to my house? My brother's having a meltdown and losing control." When I arrived at the Liu family's mansion, Leon's small figure was crouched at the entrance. When he saw me, he rushed over. "Cora, you're finally here." He frantically explained that Louis was refusing contact with all the doctors, had smashed several bowls of medicine, ignored Mrs. Liu, and had even thrown him out of the room before locking the door. He said he was completely out of ideas. He led me straight to Louis's room. A crowd of people was gathered at the door, hesitating to knock. Leon yelled, "Move it, move it. The savior is here." All eyes turned to me, and my scalp tingled. Mrs. Liu looked helpless. "I'm so sorry to trouble you, Cora. Louis has locked himself in his room, and I'm very worried. I was hoping you could try." Under everyone's expectant gazes, I braced myself and knocked on the door. "Lee." Before I could finish, the door swung open. I didn't even have time to react before I was yanked inside. The door was shut again. In the dim room, I fell into a cold embrace. His body was trembling slightly, and he sounded incredibly wronged. "Cora, were you going to abandon me? I waited for you for so long." Remembering he was still a patient, I felt a wave of guilt. I hugged him back, patting his back soothingly. "I'm sorry, I'm late." He nuzzled my neck. "Humph, and you still owe me my reward from this afternoon." I hesitated for a moment, then kissed his cheek. In the darkness, I couldn't see the expression in his eyes. I just felt his breathing deepen. After calming him down, I unlocked the door from the inside. The family doctor cautiously entered with a bowl of medicine. "Young master, it's really time for your medicine." Louis's handsome brows furrowed, and his voice turned cold. "Get out." Seeing that this bowl of medicine was about to meet a tragic end, I quickly pulled him back and kissed his cheek. "A reward for taking your medicine." He froze for a second, then picked up the bowl and downed it in one go. His voice was hoarse when he spoke. "Another bowl." "No, 10 bowls." That night, holding a check for $10 million, just enough to save my family's business from bankruptcy, I once again found myself knocking on Louis's door. Mrs. Liu's plea echoed in my ears. "Cora, you're the only person Louis has been willing to be near since his accident. I'm begging you." As his newly appointed personal caretaker, the great responsibility of supervising his bath naturally fell to me. As soon as I entered the room, Louis clung to me like he had no bones. I drew his bath. I asked tentatively, "Can you bathe by yourself?" He tilted his head up, a little proud. "Of course. I'm not an idiot." "Yes, you are." Watching him go into the bathroom, I stood guard at the door, afraid he might have an accident. Suddenly, I heard the sound of breaking glass from inside. I rushed in immediately. The room was steamy, and it was hard to see. Louis was gone from the bathtub. My heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, someone covered my eyes from behind. Caught Cora. I turned to see Louis wearing nothing but a loosely tied bathrobe. The muscles on his chest were lean and defined. Water droplets from his hair trickled down his V-line to other places. I froze for a second, my face burning. I shot him a fierce glare. "Get dressed. Properly." He obediently said, "Oh." I dried his hair for him. He was innocently letting me do whatever I wanted. Looking at his devastatingly handsome face and thinking about the impactful scene from just now, I said earnestly, "A boy has to protect himself when he's out. You can't just take your clothes off for anyone." He blinked. "But Cora isn't just anyone." I sighed. "You're lucky you ran into a morally upstanding person like me. Otherwise, you'd be eaten alive, with not even the bones left." He tilted his head, looking thoughtful. "I only want to be eaten by Cora." My face flushed. What kind of shameless talk was that? My eyes unintentionally glanced down. That's when I noticed a small cut on his abdomen, beading with blood. It must have been from the aromatherapy bottle that fell and shattered. I got the first aid kit. Louis dutifully lifted his shirt. His abs were incredibly defined. Lying there like a lamb to the slaughter, he was ridiculously tempting. I picked up a cotton swab to disinfect the wound. Being so close, my heart started to race. The moment I touched the muscle, he sucked in a sharp breath. "Does it hurt a lot?" He looked at me pitifully. "It hurts. It hurts so much." I looked at the cut, which would have healed on its own if I'd waited another 2 minutes, and fell silent. Louis, acting like he was about to die from the pain, said seriously, "Maybe if Cora kisses it, it won't hurt anymore." I tried to keep smiling, applying a little more pressure with my hand. 20 minutes later, my upstanding morals finally caved to the temptation of his good looks. I gently poked one of his abs. My voice was coaxing. "This looks a little off. Don't move, let me check it for you." His body tensed for a moment. He nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I smirked. Simpletons really were easy to trick. I poked him again. And again. His breath hitched. He seemed to be holding back, but finally grabbed my wrist. "Cora, it's hot. I don't feel good." I instinctively looked down. Coughing lightly, I quickly pulled my hand back. I pulled the blanket up over him. "Go to sleep." He silently peeked his head out, his beautiful dark eyes locked on me. Sensing an intense, predatory vibe, I looked over. He had already closed his eyes. As I was drifting off to sleep, I had a strange dream. I was chasing a giant chicken leg, and I finally tackled it. I took a big bite. A soft scoff sounded in my ear. The voice was unbelievably cold. Biting me? I slowly opened my eyes and met a pair of incredibly cold, sharp eyes. The atmosphere was heavy. I squeezed my eyes shut. I must be dreaming. Then I felt a sharp sting on my butt. A solid slap. That's when I was fully awake. A dark storm swirled in his eyes. He looked me over, his gaze meaningful. Cora. You've got some nerve. Before he could say another word, the man beside me passed out. Snapping out of it, I immediately called the doctor. I patted my chest, my heart still racing. So fierce. He really was the city's infamous psycho. This was a seriously high-risk job. The doctor's diagnosis came back quickly. The blood clot in Lewis's brain had shrunk a bit, but it would still take some time for him to fully recover. I looked at Lewis, lying quietly on the bed with a pale face, and sighed. His current state of occasionally splitting personalities was terrifying. I quietly grabbed my blanket and went to sleep on the sofa. The next morning, I woke up to find myself held tightly from behind. I froze for a moment, then asked tentatively, "Lewis? What are you doing?" He nuzzled me like a puppy, with a slight pout. "Cora. I woke up and you weren't in bed. I want to sleep with you." Still in cabbage mode. I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. The sofa was really small. I shifted slightly. And successfully pushed him off. He held onto my waist for dear life. In the struggle, we both tumbled clumsily off the sofa. I heard a sexy grunt from beneath me. Lewis had successfully become my human cushion. The position was suggestive. A cramp shot through my ankle, making it impossible for me to move. When I didn't move for a while, his breathing deepened. "Cora, you like this?" The hand on my waist tightened. His voice was incredibly hoarse. "Cora, don't move. It hurts a little." Noticing the situation under me, I stayed completely still. The bedroom door was suddenly pushed open. A familiar, childish voice rang out. "OMG, it's broad daylight. Bro, Cora, could you be a little more considerate? I'm still a kid. I know you guys are desperate, but don't rush. It's time to eat." I practically fled downstairs. I didn't notice what was happening behind me. As the two brothers followed, Lewis emotionlessly stuck out his foot. I heard a cry from Leon as he face planted. "Bro, you tripped me." I looked at Lewis. He threw up his hands, looking completely innocent. "Cora, what's he talking about? I don't understand." After lunch, I needed to go home to grab a few things. Lewis whined and begged until he got his way and came with me. Looking at that face, I lost all my strength and resolve. We got into the car arranged by the Liu family. I put a movie on for him and focused on packing my things. The doorbell rang. I opened the door and was surprised to see a familiar handsome face. Evan was dressed in his usual white casual wear. A charming smile was always on his lips, giving him a gentle, polished look. "Cora, long time no see. How have you been?" "I just got back from abroad. This is a gift for you." I smiled. "Thanks, Evan." Suddenly, a hand wrapped around my waist. Lewis appeared behind me. Evan froze for a second. "Cora, who is this?" Before I could say anything, Lewis looked coldly at Evan. "I belong to Cora now." Afraid he'd say something even weirder, I quickly covered his mouth. "Evan, thanks for the gift. I'll treat you to dinner sometime." Evan smiled. "Okay." After closing the door, I looked at Lewis. He hung his head like a guilty child who'd done something wrong. I sighed internally. Why was I getting worked up over a cabbage? I was about to go back to packing. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me sharply into his arms. I sensed something was off about him. I froze. What's wrong? A dark storm swirled in his eyes. Cora, I hate him. I hate the way he looks at you. And his smile is so fake. You're mine. He looked up at me, his eyes returning to their usual innocent clarity. We pinky swore, didn't we? I nodded perfunctorily. At the same time, a strange feeling washed over me. Lately, it seemed like he was evolving, from a cabbage into a person. After dinner, it was time to go back to campus to sign some papers. When I returned to the Liu mansion, the huge villa was empty. The butler and the maids were also gone. It was eerie. My phone buzzed with a notification. Leon, Cora, we were master and apprentice. You wouldn't want to see a flower of our nation wither and die, would you? Me, what did you do? Death stare smile. I didn't get a reply. My right eyelid twitched. Sure enough, I turned on the lights. And found a drunk on my sofa. And on the table, a whole box of empty wrappers from high-proof alcohol-filled chocolates. I rubbed my temples. Walking over to the sofa, I gently nudged Louis. The next second, the world spun, and I was pinned to the sofa. He was so close, I instinctively held my breath. Louis's skin was fair, and now his face was flushed an unusual red. He let out a soft mm. His thin lips brushed against my cheek. I gently pushed at him. Louis, get up. I'll go make you something to sober up. Are you an idiot? How could you eat so many? His cool fingertips traced my lips. His lips curved up slightly. Whatever Cora's saying, I don't understand. I gritted my teeth. Want what? His eyes darkened as he lowered his head and leaned in. A sharp sting on my lips. I froze for a moment. A deep voice whispered in my ear, I like you, Cora. My heart started to race. In the moment I was stunned, my breath was stolen. A while later, I touched my swollen lips. I looked at Louis next to me, the corners of his eyes red. He was looking down, his shoulders shaking slightly. He looked so pitiful. Cora, don't forget my 100 rewards. Looking at the tiny cut on his thin lips. I took a deep breath, feeling a little guilty, and decided not to argue with him. This is our secret. Don't tell anyone, okay? He obediently said, I hadn't been able to stop myself from slapping him earlier. And I'd made him cry. It took me half an hour to calm him down. That night, I met up with my best friend Josie, who had just returned from abroad, at a bar. Louis stuck to me like glue and came along. He promised he'd behave. Hat, mask, sunglasses. Looking at his full disguise, I was very satisfied. We got to the place. Josie gave me a huge hug. She winked at me, excited. Well, who's this? Not going to introduce me? I whispered, Louis Liu. The cup in Josie's hand fell to the floor. Holy shit, who? Who did you say? Am I dreaming? Pinch me. Girl, are you being held hostage? How did you end up with this monster? I signaled for her to keep her voice down. It's a long story. I gave her the short version. I nudged Louis, and he gave a friendly wave. Hello, Cora's friend. Josie pressed on her temples. Who would have thought, a legend is sitting right next to me. Never imagined, my besties got away with taming beasts. While Josie and I were gossiping and getting all the tea, Louis waited quietly by my side. He played with my hand. And kept playing with it. All you need to soothe a puppy is to give him a bone. A snarky voice shattered the peace. Well, Cora. Long time no see. Seeing who it was, I silently rolled my eyes. It was that spoiled brat from the Zhou family, Chad, whose advances I had once rejected. TSK. Is this your new boy toy? All covered up like that, is he too ugly to be seen? Josie rolled up her sleeves, ready to fight. I stopped her. I looked at Chad. It's none of your business. I took Louis's hand. We're leaving. A flash of resentment crossed Chad's eyes. His grimy hands reached for Louis's sunglasses, pulling off his mask in the process. Leave? This is my territory. Let's see what kind of shameless pretty boy dares to mess with me. Before he could finish, he dropped to his knees with a thud. He was trembling uncontrollably. Mr. Liu, how is it you? I was blind. Please, forgive my ignorance. Louis narrowed his eyes, annoyed. His uniquely deep voice was laced with a chilling coldness. So noisy. Get lost. Chad looked as if a weight had been lifted. Understood. He then proceeded to roll away on the floor, completely devoid of any dignity. I was stunned for a moment. Josie leaned in close to my ear. Do you get what the name Louis Liu means now? I heard the last person who disrespected him couldn't speak for a whole month. Rumor is, Louis cut out his tongue. I looked at Louis, instinctively rubbed my arms, and scooted a little farther away from him. He looked at me with a wounded expression, then sidled up to me like he had no bones. Cora, what's wrong? The bar was too crowded. I said goodbye to Josie and took Louis home in a car. In the car, Josie's words kept replaying in my head. Remembering the danger I'd felt the moment his memory returned. I silently scooted over again, putting more distance between us. He suddenly clutched his chest. It hurts. I was worried and quickly moved closer. What's wrong? Where does it hurt? He hooked an arm around my waist. My lips were suddenly wet. He winked, looking triumphant. It doesn't hurt anymore. If Cora could kiss me again, I'd be completely cured. My fists clenched. The little cabbage had turned into a scheming flirt. The driver suddenly lowered the partition, his tone serious. Cora, we're being followed. I can shake them. You and the young master hold on tight. I'm speeding up. I thought about the car crash that had turned Louis into a simpleton. The conspiracies among the rich and powerful were cruel and dirty. My heart pounded. Louis held my waist tightly, a dark, unreadable expression flashing in his eyes. I looked back at the car tailgating us. The more I looked, the more familiar it seemed. I was lost in thought. Ever since Louis's accident, various factions had been watching hungrily, trying to get information on his condition. The doctor's prognosis was that it would take about another month for him to fully recover. I was silently calculating my escape window. The Liu family decided to host a banquet in 3 days. And my job was to teach Louis how to act like his old self. I had just gotten out of the shower. The main lights in the room were off. A tall, imposing figure sat on the sofa, his black suit accentuating his lean waist. When he saw me, he smiled, a silly grin on his face. Cora. I swallowed hard, thinking that I wouldn't be able to enjoy such a fine specimen for much longer. I pushed him down on the sofa and teased him for a while. A tide of emotion churned in his deep eyes. Does Cora like me? Cora will never leave me, right? I nodded. Of course. I like your face. He pressed closer again, his kiss fierce. Broken whispers reached my ear. My Cora. The banquet went off without a hitch. Everything proceeded smoothly. From the shadows, I watched Louis, the center of attention. With a cold expression, the pressure around him was intense. He was clearly running out of patience. Leon was by his side, running interference. A simple, "My brother's in a bad mood today," was enough to shut down anyone who tried to approach. The party was winding down. I went to the restroom. When I came out, I saw Leon with a terrible look on his face. It's bad, Cora. My brother's missing. We checked the security footage with the butler. We saw it. Louis took a glass of wine from a woman in a red dress. And then followed her away. Leon was furious. That Nina really is a persistent pest. She's always trying to become my sister-in-law. We're doomed, Cora. Do you think my brother fell for it? We split up to search the area where Louis had disappeared. The Lou mansion was huge. The most secluded room on the second floor. The door was cracked open just a little. I peeked inside. In the dim light, Louis sat elegantly on the sofa. A cold, thin smile played on his lips, and his eyes were icy. He looked down at the woman in the red dress, who had fallen to the floor in a disheveled heap. A cold sneer cut through the air, filled with undisguised mockery. You like me? What makes you think you're worthy? My blood ran cold. My brain kicked into overdrive. He was back. 2 words flashed in my mind. Run. Now. Following my pre-arranged plan, I fled to Josie's house in the suburbs. I spent a few days lazing around at home. I was bored, scrolling through my phone. Louis had reappeared in the public eye. He had used his trademark lightning-fast methods to crush everyone with ulterior motives. I hid under the covers, trembling. For someone as proud as him, I was probably a shameful part of his past. The latest interview was pushed to my phone. In the video, Louis was facing the camera, answering a reporter's question. His face was dark, and he seemed to be grinding his teeth. I'm looking for the bad woman who abandoned me. Josie forwarded me a chat history. The gossip group for the city's elite heirs had gone completely insane. Who? Which goddess played the Lou family's heir? I bow down to you, my queen. Sis, can you start a masterclass? I'll listen on my knees. Did anyone notice our girl ran? The Lou family's heir is so fierce, so crazy, he must have scared her off. Agreed. Everyone who agreed, report to my office tomorrow. Who do you think you are, so arrogant? I'm Louis Lou. The sun came out, the rain stopped. It was the apocalypse for the gossip group. The next time I saw Josie was in a private room at a club. As my best friend, she knew me inside and out. After all that time together, I did have different feelings for him. Josie patted my shoulder. Don't be sad. There are plenty of fish in the sea. If this one doesn't work out, we'll just find another. That's my bestie for you, always seeing through my vulnerability. After a few sweet cocktails, my head was spinning. I didn't notice the message on my phone. Leon, Cora, friendly reminder, my bro is coming to get you. Josie had called in a line of male models. All different styles. The last one who came in was exceptionally tall, and he was wearing flats. But he had a sour look on his face. He parted his thin lips and said, "Get out." Watching a group of handsome men disappear before my eyes, I was a little annoyed. Why did they all leave? A chilling voice answered, "How many did Cora want?" I'm enough. I shook my dizzy head. What talents do you have? He fell silent. No talent. Next. Josie was frantically winking at me. Me, is there something wrong with your eye? It wasn't until I was being carried into a car that I saw Louis's dark face. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Did Cora have fun? I felt a little scared and used my drunkenness as an excuse to protest. This is kidnapping. Let me out. He refused. The alcohol hit me, and my defenses crumbled. You weren't like this before. You used to listen to me. He nodded, his voice nonchalant. I still listen. Cora can make me lie down and not move, just like before. He leaned in closer, radiating a dangerous aura. He forcibly pulled me into his arms, holding my waist. I struggled, instinctively trying to slap his face. Luckily, I caught myself in time. He let out a low chuckle, dragging out his words. What comes before the slap is the scent of Cora's hand. I gritted my teeth. You're a pervert. He gave a soft mm. Cora trained me well. The drunkenness hit me again, and I started crying out of frustration. I jabbed his shoulder angrily. For every one thing I say, you have 10 comebacks. The ink in his eyes swirled. Then I won't say anything. The next second, my breath was stolen. Dizzily, I wrapped my arms around his neck. The hands on my waist tightened. Louis carried me back to the Lou mansion. Looking at the red, love bite-like marks on his fair collarbone, I felt extremely guilty. Out of habit, I ordered him to get me some water. After he had taken care of me, I turned on him. You can leave now. His long fingers twirled a lock of my hair. Why did Cora run? I shrank back. You're too scary. And besides, you're all better now. We just had a business relationship, right? He seemed to laugh out of anger, giving me a deep look. Then Cora has to take responsibility for touching me and kissing me. Or else I decided to give up. You'll what? His hot breath fanned across my ear, a fierce threat. I'll kiss you to death. Louis agreed to give me 3 days to think it over. On my way home from buying laundry detergent, I had just hung up a 6-hour video call with the clingy man. A white luxury car pulled up in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing Evan's familiar face. He smiled. Heading home? I'm going that way too. I got in the car. Thanks, Evan. Evan adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on his nose and chuckled. How have you been, Cora? Is Louis Lou still bothering you? I froze for a moment, looking at Evan. His smile didn't reach his eyes. The car suddenly accelerated, changing direction. In the moment before I lost consciousness, I hit redial on my phone. When I woke up again, I was in a locked room. Evan had shed his usual gentle demeanor. His gaze was fixed on me, filled with the excitement of a predator stalking its prey. You silly girl, did you really think Louis Lou liked you? He was just trying to get back at me. You know I've always liked you. It's a real shame I didn't manage to kill him last time. My heart trembled. I never thought he was the one who had hurt Louis. The Evan in front of me was a complete stranger. Beneath the polished exterior was a fake and twisted person. I spoke slowly. Evan, you want to deal with Louis. Why did you kidnap me? You said it yourself, Louis doesn't really like me. If you want to go after him, I can help you. Just untie me first, and we can discuss this properly. A flash of contempt crossed his eyes, as if he thought I was completely powerless. He untied the ropes. I rubbed my wrists and knocked him out with one punch. I didn't hold back. You sicko, you're the one who put a camera in my house, weren't you? You really think I'm that stupid? The moment Louis kicked the door in, I kicked Evan, who was pretending to be unconscious, in the groin. He cried out in pain. You got here fast, future boyfriend. This is my first big gift to you. A smile spread across his lips, and he pulled me into his arms. Thanks, Cora. Are you okay? I love you. He hesitated for a moment, then said weakly, if you hit him, you can't hit me, okay? I gave him a mysterious smile. We'll see how you behave. The night of Louis's birthday, he officially became my boyfriend. Little Leon stroked his chin thoughtfully. From the first day Cora came here, I knew I was backing the right horse. I was about to ask him what he meant. A large hand grabbed him by the scruff of his neck. Go play somewhere else. Stay away from my baby. Leon wailed, bro, you're kicking me to the curb now that you don't need me. I'm going to tell Cora you. Leon's mouth was covered, and he was thrown out of the room. I looked at Louis. A flash of guilt crossed his eyes. I smirked. You have 3 seconds to explain. He covered my eyes. Open your present first. When I opened them again, his jacket was off. He was wearing a sheer black shirt that made his skin look even paler. The hint of what lay beneath was the most lethal temptation. I suddenly felt dizzy. Once again, pathetically seduced by his beauty. Hot breath fanned across my ear. I suddenly remembered what I was supposed to be doing. You still haven't explained. His expression was playful and wicked, deliberately mischievous. We'll talk after you have the energy. I remembered how I had relentlessly teased him in the bathroom yesterday. How his feathered lashes had trembled as he held back. I had started a fire and then irresponsibly run away. My scalp tingled. Sensing danger, I tried to crawl towards the edge of the bed. But he grabbed my ankle and pulled me back. My wrists were tied with his necktie. I cursed, "You're an animal." He chuckled. You have a beautiful way with words, baby. I hope you sound just as beautiful when you're crying for me later. Epilogue. Leon's POV. I used to think my brother was a heartless killer. Until one day, I discovered the secret in his study. The girl in the photo was incredibly familiar. It was my tutor, Cora. After the car accident, my brother was impossible to deal with. Only when I showed him Cora's photo would he listen, just a little. Cora's birthday was coming up, and I came up with the perfect plan. Throughout the whole process, my difficult brother was surprisingly cooperative. The night I delivered him to her. Looking at his pathetic act, I silently rolled my eyes. I couldn't tell if he was really a simpleton or just pretending. Ugh, these people are playing 4D chess, and I'm just trying to survive.